Former Governor Buddy Roemer passed away yesterday morning. He was, 77. I did not live in Louisiana for that stretch. He was governor. He was elected in what? Late
87.
87. So 88 to 92, he was governor.
Right.
Why just one term? Why was he a single-term governor? Give me a little background on how he was elected. He was preceded and followed by Edwin Edwards.
Yes, he was.
So give me a little background how his election came to be and why he was a one-term governor.
He'd been a congressman here in our area, the 4th District, and he really wanted to see government reform. He called it the Roemer Revolution, and he wanted change in government. He wanted good government. He wanted our teachers paid a fair wage. He wanted our tax dollars used wisely. I mean, it was a real reform platform that he had. I don't have the whole thing in front of me.
Did he bill himself, for lack of a better term? Because you had talked, when we talked about this a couple of hours ago, you talked about the image of Louisiana at the time. Did he bill himself sort of as the anti-Edwards?
Oh, absolutely. You had, that was the years in the 87 campaign. That was the years when things were starting to bubble up about corruption with Edwards and things like that. And Edwards had made some real controversial statements about the crucifix. And
you said it was a really dirty campaign.
It got kind of nasty. Yeah, it got pretty nasty. And it was one of those that was a shocking ending, because you had a sitting governor, Edwin Edwards, who was a populist governor. He was the Democrat. Roemer was a Democrat at the time, too. But Roemer beat him.
Was it considered a major upset when Roemer won, or were there rumblings that this was about to happen through the latter days of the campaign?
There were rumblings that Edwards was in trouble. And what happened when Roemer beat him in the jungle primary with 7 other candidates, or however many others there were, the Edwards people took him aside and said, you can't win. You're not going to get those other people that voted against you. That's an anti-Edwards vote. It wasn't for those guys. They just don't want you.
You lost the primary, you'll get
crunched.
Squashed.
You will get squashed
in the general election.
So he withdrew. Roemer becomes governor. He doesn't have to go through that runoff election. He becomes governor. Now, while he was governor, he changed parties. He switched parties to Republican during his term.
One-term governor. Why was that? Why would you say what did he fail, or did he fall victim to the Louisiana way?
I think he fell. I think if Buddy was sitting in this room with me today, he would agree. And I may be wrong. And to his family, I apologize. I think he would say the Louisiana swamp sucked him under.
Would he be right?
The Louisiana swamp sucked him under. And I'm talking about the corrupt swamp. Not that he became corrupt, but that he tried to do things the right way. He tried to raise everybody up, but it was mired.
He became a victim of the deep state?
Yes, he became mired in the quicksand, which is Louisiana politics. It just sucks everything out of you. And he kind of became aloof. He was trying to stay in the trenches and get the work done. Therefore, he didn't get out in the public much. He didn't get out and about kissing babies and shaking hands and politicking, which you have to keep doing, which is what John Bell Edwards is great at. He's one of the greatest in terms of, while you're still doing the work, you still got to get out there and kiss the babies and got to cut the ribbons and do all that. Buddy was so intent on getting in and getting the work done that he left a part of that politicking, which he was exceptional at. I mean, if you were in a room with Buddy Roemer, you were the only person in the room. He focused on you. He had that Bill Clinton flair about him. You were the one that mattered to him at that moment, and that was really cool about him. But here's where things got, with Edwards withdrawing,
came off the rails a bit.
Then we went into the political muck in a huge way, because then Edwards knew Roemer was vulnerable because people didn't like how he was doing it. He moved a lot of cheese. People didn't like it. And Edwards came in going, I'm going to put your cheese back. I'm going to get things back on track. I'm going to take care of everything that he hadn't done. And then you had David Duke, who was the grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, who stepped in and said he wanted to be governor too. And you had several others who were running. But in that race, which got international attention because of Duke, worldwide attention, we were a black eye to the state. I mean, it was dreadful. Those were times in this state that I wish we could just edit it out of our history, because it was really bad. Now, David Duke was good with cameras and media. I mean, he was a social media expert before there was ever social media. He knew how to get the attention and how to get his message out there, and there was not a microphone that man did not like. And he finished second to Edwards. David Duke finished second to Edwards against a sitting governor. Buddy Roemer finished third. It was 33, 31, 26, the percentages. So Roemer was defeated in the jungle primary.
Was that a surprise? Or in the way that folks knew that Roemer had a shot to knock off Edwards, was the Roemer popularity at such a low point? Was it a surprise that he finished third?
I would say it was. I think the party switch, he lost some of the votes because of the switch to the Republican Party. Edwards ended up beating Duke because that was the campaign where we went to the polls holding our nose, because you knew Edwards was mired in corruption and you knew that there was a federal investigation going on. So you held your nose and you pushed the button. And many of us obviously pushed the button for Edwards because he won. But you didn't want to. You sure didn't want to in those cases, because you knew that things were coming unglued for him. I mean, he was ultimately going to go to jail for 10 years. But it was just ugly, Robert.
So what did Roemer do post-office?
He went into the banking business, moved to Baton Rouge, and last time I saw Buddy Roemer was we were judging a chili cook-off here at Festival Plaza in Shreveport. And
How long ago was this?
It's been 10 years, maybe longer. I'm not sure. He was telling me about he was here to check on his mama, and she has since passed. And I told him, we joked because I said, I could check on your mama and you check on mine. She's in Baton Rouge. His is here. And we joked about that. And then we got to eating the chili, and I'll never forget, because in chili cook-offs, when you judge them, some of those guys, they're in the chili cook-offs, they love to see how hot they can make the chili. And so I told Buddy, I said, have you ever judged chili cook-off before? And he said, no. And I said, let me give you some advice. Go get some Pepto-Bismol on the way home, because you might need it. Because some of that stuff was spicy, and we would look at each other like, whoo, that was some hot chili. But he was a nice man. You felt like he cared about you, even if, I only saw him once a year or something like that. But you really felt like he cared about you, and he would always ask about you and your family, etc. I mean, he wanted to know about my mom, where she lived, and all that stuff. And just a very, very nice man.
From Bossier
Parish,
originally.
The Scopina Plantation, was a farmer, and knew a lot about farming, and family still farms out that way. So it's a long historical family in Bossier Parish, and he will be missed. He was a unique character, no doubt.
Thanks for the update.
Mm-hmm.